one of the cool things that you've been able to do just here recently is like one of the things we talked about before the call here is like you've kind of like landed your dream client, which is freaking cool. Aside from that, like you're still working on, building yourself. And that's kind of what I want to segue into right now. Just because like I think it's super cool that like yes, you've done that, but like you have all these other things going on that you want to build for you. Like how are you kind of able to frame that, into like frame that moving forward where you're saying like, okay, you know what I mean? Like I really love this opportunity. This is the person that I want to work with, and I'm super, super excited for this opportunity. But there's so much that I still want to build for me and for my family and for my kids that like I want to pursue on my own. So how are you then able to, take both of those opportunities and kind of blend them to, grow?
Yeah. So, what I will say, bouncing a little bit off of what you had just said before, is for me, it's model what works. Model what works. I know we've said that a lot before, but when it comes to building that for yourself or building it for someone else, and you do the research and you're looking at all the different skills that you have and the things that people are asking of you, saying, hey, can you do this? Hey, are you able to do that? Model what works. That is 100% like my motto. And then what you realize is like when people are coming to you and they're telling you like, hey, I know nothing about this, but I know that you have a skill in this, what can you do with it? And then you start to make something really beautiful and you see the receptiveness from that company, and being able to say that you are able to segue your skills into several different companies across several different industries. Then you almost start to sit there, well, not even almost, you sit there and you wonder like, why don't I do this for myself? Like, if I'm this good at it, not even to sound conceited, but it's like, if I'm this good and I can do this for a sports company, I can do it for a tech company, I can do it for a real estate company, I can do it for maybe a company that's a little bit more adult and mature, I can, all these different things, then why would I just do it for me? So going into doing this for myself and landing my dream client, which is very, very, very exciting. This actually was a connection from Adam. Adam had connected me with Adipia, and I know you. I think you had her on the show earlier last summer. And Adipia and a good friend of hers launched a program called Women of Wealth. It's a wealth mastery for women, and Adam thought it'd just be good for me to get connected. And I had a call with them and I was like, yeah, very much like me, I'm interested in building community, especially with women that can hold me accountable. And it wasn't necessarily about building like financial wealth. That's certainly a part of it. It's more of just like wealth for yourself as who you are and your life and all the things in your world that will give you wealth as a person, with whether that's prioritizing your time, eating well, balancing family life, figuring out what kind of career you want, understanding more about the financial world, kind of breaking these big animals in the financial world down that don't have to seem so extravagant, so that you can understand it more, so that you have an equal opportunity of building wealth even if you don't come from a wealth background. And I was like, yes, yes. Even as someone with a financial degree, there are still so many parts to this industry that I don't even feel qualified for, where I've really found a market for myself in marketing. So I was like, yeah, I would love to get connected with women that can teach me more about this. That'd be fantastic. And then they told me the price, and I was like, well, I certainly don't have that kind of money. So I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't want to waste anybody's time. But this really sounds great. Thank you so much. And they were like, well, you know what? Wait a second. Like, you do have a lot of really great skills. And I was like, whoa, like, where is this going? And they were like, we do need some help with marketing our program. So like, give us some time, but we'll see, maybe we could, build a partnership where you could do some social media work, networking for us, and you could still be a part of this program, because we really do think you would get a lot of value from this. Like, we really don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. And I was like, oh my God, like that sounds like the sweetest thing ever, but I really wasn't expecting anything from it. And what do you know, the very next day, they were like, hey, so do you want to work with us? Like, we both really loved you and we really want you to be a part of this. And we respect your time. So they were like, we want you to work with Women of Wealth, and we'll give you the program in exchange so that you have access to it for the time that you're putting in. And I was like, oh my, like, and this was a day or two after I had almost like broken up with one of the other companies that wasn't paying me, that I was okay, I'm putting a lot of time in that I'm not really getting a whole lot out of. So I was like, wow, this is like very much like divine timing, like how, it's just crazy how, this came up at like, at the perfect time. Like, I don't want to say it drives me nuts, but it's like, I love, it's crazy, right? Like the timing was just amazing, absolutely amazing. So I get, I'm super involved in the company now. I'm networking with all these really great ladies, and I'm helping to build out what they're doing. And the co-founder, Jen, approached me and was like, April, I really love what you're doing. I really want to start to build my own personal brand as just a female leader in business. And I was like, really? Because like, me, I love to get behind everyone's, big dreams and projects. And she's literally giving me the creative freedom to kind of build something for her. She was like, I don't know what I want, but I kind of know what I want. I really like your style. So, where do you think we should go? And my mind, like, Aaron, I didn't sleep that night. Like, I was so excited. I had all of these ideas. So what did I do? I built it into a PowerPoint presentation. Like I'm like, my fingers couldn't move as fast as my mind, where I'm like breaking down all of these things. And what am I doing? I'm modeling what works. I'm going back to these other female leaders that I really love, and I'm looking at how they're framing their social media. I'm looking at how they're framing their message. Now, granted, some people are in the hair industry, some people are in the fashion industry, some people are in the financial industry, several different things. So I'm not trying to pull from just what I personally like, but I'm just looking at what works and what is going to work for Jen in her industry, and how she wants to position herself with her personal background, with her family, with her business, with her story. What is she really going for? What are her goals? How can I push her? How can I hold her accountable? What are your, and then it's like the fun stuff, like what are your colors, and all of that, and really building it into something really absolutely beautiful. So it's amazing to have someone come to me, and I was like, she has her own company. She has her own business. I'm just some little 29-year-old girl in Pennsylvania. Like, who cares about me? I'm like, she could literally go to like a professional agency to build her a website and the whole thing, but she came to me. And I'm just like, I'm so thankful for that. And it was, I probably sound so giddy, but it was just the coolest thing in the world, that I wasn't asking for an opportunity like this. I wasn't looking for anything, and it just happened. So I will say, because of this coming up, it makes me feel more inspired to do my own thing. It's like, well, geez, if I'm going to put all this energy in, my mind is going to work in such an organized fashion for Jen, then why don't I do it for myself? Why haven't I done it for myself? How have I allowed myself to get away from doing these things? And this is why I texted you the other day when I told you that I was watching your episode, and I heard you talk about we use, everything in the world as an excuse not to get where we want to go because it's not perfect. And I was like, oh, I feel so attacked by Aaron's words right now, because it's true and I'm guilty of it, because my website hasn't been perfect for the last 10 months. I haven't done anything with it, but I know what needs to be done and I just don't do it. But I fill my time with everyone else's projects. But imagine how much further I'd be now, 10 months down the line, had I just put that little bit of effort in every single day and model what worked from the people that inspired me. Now, I don't think that's a waste of time, because I did have to sit with myself, and I didn't want to sit there and try to build something that wasn't authentic to me while I was trying to figure out what I wanted it to be. But now, because I'm doing this with someone, and I like love her style, and I think we are a great fit, and it's not just, oh, she wants me to do it, so I'm going to do it for money. Like, no, I think we are a really great fit together. Our styles really mesh really well. Like it's wonderful. I'm like, I need to just do this for me. So that's how I'm doing it. It's like very much from the work that I'm doing for her. I'm at the point where it doesn't feel like work to me at all, because this is what I love to do. And I'm so excited to build a really beautiful product for her that is her brand. And it's doing nothing more than inspiring me to do more for myself and learn more about the other programs and designs and things that I can do for myself down the line. And then I'm trying to keep track of how I'm doing all of this so that I can replicate it. And then maybe I turn this into my own personal branding business. It's crazy. I'm so excited.
The opportunities are endless. I mean, they really are. Um, I love it when you talk about like when like I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point, but if anybody doesn't, April does the editing on all of my episodes. So she'll even be going back through this one, having some fun with that. But I love when what I was trying to say is I love when you talk about things that like I'll say in episodes and other interviews, and you'll talk about how they like hit you because it like reminds me that I'm like saying shit that actually has value. Sorry, pardon my French. But anyway, bouncing off of that, one of the strongest things that like really caught me about like that personal like story there, we'll call it, was that like I know we talk about all the time how like the universe works in mysterious ways. This is like another prime example of that. Like if you want it bad enough and you're still showing up for the opportunity, you're still working, you're still like there for the opportunity. As long as you keep fighting, eventually somebody's going to be willing to take a chance on you. And like I think we've both found that in numerous different circumstances now, that like you're right at that point where you really think like if things don't turn around here soon, I don't know what it looks like. And then somebody comes in and they're like, dude, let's do this, and like I don't even know how to like else how else to describe it, but like it's just crazy. Like we said, that like, right when you're at that point, something happens, just completely by chance, right at the time when you needed it. And it's just a really, really powerful thing. But kicking it back to you, I know another one of the things that you wanted to talk about, or that I want you to talk about really, is that kind of going off of that last story and recognizing all this potential, that like it can get a little bit overwhelming naturally. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But like I said, the opportunities are endless, and that's half the reason that it's a little bit overwhelming. But I know we talked about before we started recording today a little bit of like what that feels like for you, and how it can be difficult, working under all these different umbrellas, to where like I know in this new one you're talking about, you have that creative freedom that you're looking for, but in others you really don't. Some people want things the specific way that they want them, and they don't really give you a lot of room to think for yourself or have your own opinion. So I want to kick it back over to you and let you talk on that a little bit, because I know that's also something that you've experienced recently as well.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating, but not really like in a bad way. It's frustrating because you're trying to position yourself well in a new industry. And like I said, for the podcasting part of it, that's what I'm breaking into, and I'm now doing some editing for some other individuals. And the podcast world is something I've only been familiar with for the last 10 months. It's not something that I haven't even really listened to a lot of podcasts, admittedly, more than just editing your episode and then seeing some recommendations for, I guess people like really love true crime podcasts. I don't know if you've ever listened to one. I haven't, but I have a lot of screenshots on my phone of things that are supposed to be really good. So um I was really just trying to, I guess, replicate what we do here with Dream Chasers. So whenever I put myself out there to be like, hey, I know how to do this, but this is the way that I've been doing it. And the individuals that are asking me to work with them, they're like, "Hey, I don't really know what I'm doing, so can you walk me through it?" So it's like it's kind of nice to be able to walk through and say, "Well, this is how we do this, and I have a process for this, and I have a process for that." And then other people are like, "Hey, I use this program. Can I send you the files?" And even if you like don't respond that day, or you take a day or two, like it's hard because maybe those files don't work. Maybe they thought that they saved something that they didn't, and you're trying to work through email and you're trying to show up, and you don't want to take too much time and being like, oh well, I can just work at my leisure because I'm working from home now, so oh yeah, I'll have it to you by the end of the week. And you put it off, and then maybe it's the middle of the week and you're like, oh, I didn't know these files don't work, and then you kind of have to be like, hi, by the way, I didn't do anything yet, and it's not really, so it's like, and I'm not saying that happened to me. I'm just saying I'm glad that I jumped in when I did, because had I taken some extra time, I would not have realized that some of the things that I asked from people on things that I was like, okay, I need your episode, I need your intro, I need your outro. Do you have a Buzzsprout account? Do you have a host that you've picked out? Do you have a username, a login? Like, do you have a whole thing for show notes? Which is crazy because a year ago I didn't know any of this, and I'm calling you in a panic, like, Aaron, what do I do? What do I need to do? I have no idea. How do I do this? And 10 months later, I'm like, okay, well now I know you need all of these things at least to replicate it the way that we're doing it here. And yeah, so that's been a little bit of the hard part, is coming into it, owning it, and then working with people who are doing, everyone has a little bit of a different process and a little bit of a different way. So keeping organized with that, and even scheduling yourself, like how I was like, Aaron, I don't want to be rude, but you kind of have to schedule on Calendly with me because I'm so busy. Like I just don't have time right now. But it's like when you are balancing so many different skills and so many different hats, it's like you almost have to just like schedule that time with yourself to get organized, to do all of that. And admittedly, even that does 100% work because things come up. You get phone calls that take longer, that cut into that time, or meetings, or someone will send you a project that's like, hey, I need this like today. Like for Women of Wealth, Adipia was like, hey, I have an ebook. Can you get it to me by like tomorrow? And I was like, yeah. And then naturally, yes, woman in me is like, yes, I'll do the whole thing. And I loved it. I was so proud to be like, oh my gosh, I took the time, I did it, I got it done, because there were things on my schedule that I could push off later. So it's like when you make yourself available like that and you want to take every opportunity, uh, it becomes a lot. And then you have kids, you know, every 5 minutes, like he's not sharing. I need a snack. I need a diaper change. I want a donut. You know, I want this. I want that. So it's like then you have to like come back to center and try to remember what you were doing. So there's really like not a good answer for that, especially in this type of setting. But there is. It's just being patient, having lots of lists, maybe working out of separate planners. Like I have two planners. One is for like my home life schedule stuff where I schedule myself, my kids, Jay, me, everything. And then my other planner is like all of the businesses. And I kind of like structure it like school, like how we'd have 5 or 6 classes. And I would write down every single class every single day, even if I didn't have class that day, but I knew there were projects coming up that I could be working on. And I frame it that same way with these 10 companies. I'm like, okay, I have this company, you know, 1 through 10, they need this by here, they need this by there. What can I do here? What can I do there to knock it off my list? Even if my schedule, you know, didn't work, like what can I kind of rearrange a little bit? So that I would say really is the best framing that I have. And if anyone has any suggestions and thinks that I can do anything any better, like please let me know.
No, I mean, it all comes back to like trial and error, like where we're just here for it and we're trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's a couple times where things have gone wrong. Like, literally, I was just recording with Adrian earlier, and we talked about like having an expectation I think we call it like an expectation of failure, like just that something is going to go wrong because something always goes wrong. And if you enter like that situation just thinking that nothing is going wrong, you're being completely naive and you're going to get blindsided because something
Yeah.
always goes wrong. Like, however big or small, something goes wrong. But yeah, and I think that like one other thing that we could kind of bounce to here that we talked about prior to this call, just kind of on the kind of opposite side of the spectrum, I guess you could call it, where like, we've now like laid all of this out and you start to feel confident because you've really started to feel like you have it all down, you're figuring it out, you're working with all these people and like you're really starting to kind of pick up momentum. But now we can kind of shift a little bit and talk about one time where that really didn't occur, where like you got to a point that you were in, and we'll call it an interview with someone, and they were asking you what you were excited about in the future, where you were saying, like, here's some things that I'm passionate about, here's what I'm looking forward to doing here in the future. And then I'll leave it to you to kind of explain the rest of the scenario, but needless to say, something kind of unexpected happened from there. Why don't you just kind of share with us what happened in that moment, and then we can kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So here I am, have 10 companies to work for, and April had another interview to work with another company because there's just, I want to do more. And the real reason why I was actually really, really kind of gunning on this one company was because to be able to buy a home, and I'm still not, I don't fully understand the whole home buying process, especially when you work for yourself and being able to prove income and you have income flowing from all these different spaces. I was like, okay, this is a W-2 job where it's only like a couple hours, a couple days. And if I have something where I can prove my income, then I'm going to be able to buy a house. And this is going to work out very well for me. I'll have some guaranteed income every 2 weeks. Even though like I have the other jobs that I'm working, but like this is something that I just know that I'm going to need for that purpose for my family. So I had an interview with this really nice guy and we jibed so well. the conversation was fantastic. And he was like, hey, so what are your plans for the future? Where do you see yourself going? What are some of the things that, you'd want to do? And I had said that, there's a part of me that has really been tossing around the idea of getting my MBA. And I wasn't exactly sure if I wanted to focus on the financial industry or if I wanted to focus on the marketing industry, because I feel like I'm doing very well with marketing and I would still love to continue to get connected, continue to network, continue to learn. But another part of me has always questioned, do I really need to do that and spend the money to go back to school and continue to do that when I'm already kind of doing that with 10 different companies? Would the outcome be any different? I personally feel like the outcome would always be better because I love to network, and the school that I've been looking at very much focuses on in-person instruction. Like, you're going to be there Monday through Thursday with your professors. I was looking at doing this in Nashville. I wanted to be in a very prosperous area to get those high-end connections on the spot and just kind of jump in. And I told him too that, my long-term goal was that I really wanted to earn my CFP, and you don't have to have an MBA to earn your CFP. So I was always kind of like, the thoughts there. If it could happen, that's great. If not, I don't know. I don't even know what that whole thing looks like, but that's just my idea of where I'm going. And, we moved on from the conversation. He's like, all right, cool. We'll let you know tomorrow one way or another. If you got it, great talking to you. Have a good night. Bye. And for whatever reason, we didn't get to reconnect until like 3 or 4 days later. So I'm like sitting by the phone this whole time. I was like, come on. Like, you like me, right? Like, I got the job. Like, just tell me. Like, I got it, right? And I met with the owner of the company, and she was like, hey, like, you had a really great interview, but he was a little unsure of, if you would be able to do everything that we need you to do because of school. So is school realistically going to get in the way? And I was stunned because in college, we go through the interviews, and I had been through the interview process several times. Like, I feel like I'm very good at it. I'm very good at talking to people and being open and the whole thing. I just never thought that talking about wanting to further your education would ever hinder your chances of getting a job. But in a very respectful way, the company was like, we want you to do what's best for you, and we don't want to be the reason that you don't further your education. So realistically, please, like, what do you really think is going to happen a year from now? Because we don't want to bring someone on and go through the process of paying to train them and the whole thing if you're planning on leaving, which I completely understand and respect. And I was like, number one, I don't really know how the whole like grants and scholarship thing works for your secondary like, or whatever, your MBA, especially when I'm going to start paying back student loans here in May on top of whatever that would look like. And I had explained to you that my ultimate goal was just to move eventually and invest in my family home. And that is my first priority beyond school. Like, I'm already non-traditional. I graduated college at 29, right? So I don't feel like there's an age limit on when I have to earn my MBA. So that could come anytime. I'm not in a rush for that. I'm already doing very well working with different companies, being able to do it from home. So I don't feel, so I guess I'm saying that I guess I wouldn't pursue my education had I have the job right now, because I understand that that income is a little bit more important for my personal needs than going to school, because we do need to invest in our family home. My 5-year-old will be starting kindergarten this fall. So figuring out where we're going to live, what the school district is going to be, what the job opportunities are going to be. Jay is going to be graduating next year, the same time Raylan graduates from kindergarten. What are his job opportunities going to look like? And if I'm able to financially help, get us where we need to go, then that's going to be my highest priority. And then I guess school would just kind of come later, if that even needed to be a thing. So it's like a very much a give and take, because I wouldn't want to say that I would give up an opportunity for money necessarily, but because I'm already doing very well in the industry that I was already looking at, I don't really feel like I'd be giving too much up. It's just something that I would be happy to do if the money was there. So long story short, I don't know. The owner said that he was still interviewing other people and that he, might come back to me or whatever. So, but that I was a little baffled that was actually like the main part of the conversation, was like, that was like their focus. Like, hey, we don't know if we want you or not because of your plans and priorities. And I was like, I've never had that happen before.
Yeah, and I think it's something that, like, the way you worded it before we got on here today was that you never thought telling someone you were passionate about furthering your education would hinder your chances of you getting a job. And
Yeah.
I think that that really sparks a topic that I've been pretty um, animated about recently, but just that I know like I had kind of given you a hint about it before we got on here today, but I had also planned on getting my MBA where I had signed up, I had enrolled, I was scheduled to start the master's program here 3 days after finishing the this semester.
Oh, wow.
And I was all set to, kick it in gear, get it done in a year. And I was going to be, good to go. I was going to graduate at 22 with my MBA. But it got to a point through scattered conversations and things that I just started to think about it where like, I've had a bunch of conversations with professors and stuff about it. And, it was something that I thought, I wanted to get for me. It was something I wanted to accomplish just because then then I feel even more, what's the word? Feel even more qualified to speak on the things that I do because, oh, I have my MBA, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm in a
Right.
position that I can now talk about these things. Not that I'm not, but it gives you just that extra little boost of confidence. But and not to mention that, like, yeah, I knew I was going to learn some things. I want to own my own businesses someday. And, I thought there was something that was going to be beneficial for that. But more or less it just got to a point that I said, like, through, some more scattered conversations with my girlfriend, my parents, myself, and some professors and stuff, that, I just got to a point that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to need it. Because I mean, like, I essentially have a job lined up right now that I'm not 100% sure where all that could go. But and then I have some other opportunities that have presented themselves recently that have kind of put me between a rock and a hard place. But just to the point that, like, if I, pursue things the way that I plan, I don't personally want to work in corporate America very long, where then I want to go and pursue my own opportunity, my own company, whatever. And like, in that case, a degree that more or less teaches me how to be a manager in somebody else's company isn't exactly going to help me. And that's kind of where it started to hit me that, why go, you know, some tens of $1,000s further into debt that I'm going to have to obviously pay off at some point, that could hinder, my chances of buying a house, anything like that, because, it's just extra bills. But why go further into debt for a degree I'm not going to use, more or less? So then I started to think about it a little bit differently. And ultimately I came to the decision that, the program's not going anywhere. If I decide to come back eventually, I can do so and I can finish it then. But more or less, I just decided to kind of put it on hold and we'll see, what happens on my own. I don't know if I'm going to need it, so why go further into debt for it? But anyway, that side note aside, more or less where I've gotten recently is that education is very important. Like just, always learning, always, building extra skills, always continuing to, build on the skills that you already have is important. But recently I've become more, not the right word, but on the ideal that college might not be as important. And what I mean by that is that there are a few professions out there right now that actually require a degree for you to be successful in that field, and they make sense, such as doctors, lawyers, etc. Like, these are people that are in very specialized fields that need to know what they're doing. Nobody wants a doctor that's working on them that has no freaking clue what they're doing. Like, we all know that. But what I mean is that, like, the educational track for those positions is definitely necessary. But what about everybody else? Like, in the 1970s, like, literally every business out there would fight tooth and nail to hire somebody who had a business degree, somebody, who, I mean, not even necessarily a business degree, just a college degree, like anything for somebody with that, level of expertise, if you will. But like, that's just not how it is anymore. Like, and I know this is something that you can talk about, but like, just as recently, like, my sister is someone who graduated with a bachelor's degree in business management, and she just spent months looking for a job. Like, she always carried good grades. She's an extremely hard worker. She's willing to do anything, learn anything for the company that she's working for. But like, she went tens of thousands of dollars into debt, of which she's now paying on. And for this degree that was promised to make her more proficient in business and more attractive as a prospective employee over other people who don't have that degree. But yet she just spent months trying to find a job. Hundreds of applications put out, several interviews. And I mean, and she wasn't being picky. Like she was applying almost anywhere. And we all know that there's like a labor shortage right now too. So like not trying to get into the economic part of it, but that is a factor. Um, but like kids everywhere are paying absolutely absurd amounts of money, going into absurd amounts of debt for a piece of paper that doesn't mean shit anymore. And once again, pardon my French, but like we got to work our butts off for 4 years just to get the damn thing. And then when we could have been working or gaining experience in whatever field that we want to be in or whatever, without going into obscene amounts of debt, and then you graduate with your fancy little piece of paper, and we're expected to work into a job. Sorry, we're expected to work in a job that we don't even like, literally until we croak. And 90% of people aren't even working in a field that they went to college for. And everybody wonders why so many people are depressed and unhappy. And like this, just literally, like, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of
No.
excited here, but like it just kills me because like why are we spending so much money to get something that is considered so beneficial that's not actually benefiting us in the long term, especially in terms of our financial situations? But putting that aside, then we're not even necessarily getting in jobs and fields that we want to be in. Like the vast majority of Americans, I mean, I can't even necessarily just say Americans, this is just what I'm more familiar with, like are depressed because they're not doing what they love. They're not doing what they even want to do. Or they realize that, after going through so many college courses about the theory of something, that they get in a position in that field and they don't even like it because they never got any sort of actual feel of what that was going to be like. I mean, we're doing what we're being forced to do or what we have to do. I mean, and some of us, like I said, are working our tails off to go work at a dead end job just to make ends meet. How are we supposed to get excited about that? That's what everyone like literally in the world is doing and has done. Like I understand that, like I said, back in the good old days, the American dream was working a 9-to-5 job for 40 some odd years. That's not what it is anymore. And I'm not trying to get controversial here or anything like that, fire anybody else up, but like that ideal has shifted. You can no longer support a family on minimum wage. I hate to say it, but you can't. And even if they raise minimum wage, which I know they've talked about doing, they're going to raise the prices of everything else. We're going to be in the same position that we're in right now. Anyway, economics aside, not getting into that. What I'm trying to say is that people are out here every freaking day giving up on their dreams in exchange for survival, and it's disgusting. Like, and this is part of the reason that I have like for the last, like ever since basically being exposed to real estate and entrepreneurship, have been hell bent on the fact that I don't really want to work in corporate America ever, just to completely avoid that fact, because I don't want to get stuck in the rabbit hole. I just don't want to get stuck in it. And like I said, they call it the American dream, but really the American dream does nothing but steal people's dreams anymore. Like I want to pursue what I want to pursue. And like the fact that, I could get stuck in a company for however long just so I can, be comfortable at retirement never appealed to me. And I don't like the fact that doing that whole thing is just to pursue somebody else's dream. Like I see, all the, memes and stuff on social media that, like I saw one the other day that was pretty powerful. It was something along the lines of like the either manager or the owner, I think it was the owner of the business, like rolls up to work in a Lamborghini or whatever, some stupid expensive car. And then one of the employees says something like, oh, nice car, blah, blah, blah. And then the owner says something to him along the lines of like, yeah, it's super nice. Like if you continue to work your hardest and pay, everything that you're supposed to be doing and work extra hours for me, I'll be able to buy another one next year. And I'm like, and it just hits me like, this is stupid. Like literally, what are we even doing with our lives? Like we're literally wasting ridiculous amounts of time that we could be with our kids, with our family, with whatever, to allow somebody else to achieve their dream. And no, I'm not saying that every company's like that. Like that's not what I'm saying. But like I said, it kind of sickens me that so many people are putting their dreams on hold, putting their dreams aside to help somebody else achieve theirs. And like if that's aligned, great. Like because like I said, like not all companies are like that. There are good companies out there. That's not what I'm saying. But like the amount of unhappy people in this world simply because they never got a chance to pursue their dream kills me. you for coming to my TED Talk.
I just wasn't sure if you were going to say anything else. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, no, no. Sorry. I did not mean to go into like so deep into that, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Sorry, guys. I can, I
No,
can I can kick it back to you if you want to go from there. I don't know if you have
yeah,
anything to add, but
I do. Like I do. And so I know everyone's going to have mixed opinions on this. For me, there's not one part of me that regrets college. For me, it was great. I got so much out of it. And, going back as a non-traditional student, and having kids already, helps me out tremendously financially. There was a lot of funding for me to be able to do that, especially because I'm not married. So, as a single mom on paper, for me, it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. But that's also a big decision that I've talked about with other people. And I think I've even talked about on the podcast here that people have a lot of opinions about that because you'd have to spend a good amount of time away from your kids and put them in daycare to be able to get through the assignment and the whole thing. And it's a lot. But, for me, both of my boys were really, really little. So like I had said before, it didn't really hurt my feelings that they're napping with other little kids during the day while I'm doing something really great for myself. And it didn't really hurt my feelings that when I would come home, even though I wouldn't really get the chance to sit and play with them and do everything I wanted to do with them, they're still getting that time to bond with daddy. And I'm in the same room. I'm just working on my assignments and stuff. So something that I'll speak to with that is uh, yeah, you're absolutely right. I my degree actually is in economics, so like we could talk about the economics all day if you really wanted to. But I'm not doing anything with that. I'm not. But I want to. Yeah, I really do want to earn my CFP. I want to be a certified financial planner. It's something that I am passionate about. I want to help other people be able to manage their wealth and manage their money. And I know that I still have a lot to learn about that, especially kind of, as Jay and I are like digging ourselves out of this hole that was almost like generational because we weren't set up for success. We didn't have parents to come in and help us. We didn't have someone to come in and encourage us along the way. We didn't have cars handed to us and licenses and the whole thing. Like I walked to and from work. I was working 3 and 4 jobs at a time. That was always my pace. And that was how I had to take care of myself. And I didn't have anyone doing it for me. And if I didn't get up and go to work that day, then I could lose my apartment. So and that was never, it was never even a question of like not going to work. It was just kind of like that mindset that had to be instilled in me and you just kind of had to make it work and roll with it. So to be at the point where I am now, we could definitely talk about this. It's, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to work from home, to have an opportunity to make money from home while also being with my kids all day, which is like a blessing and a curse because it is so hard sometimes to get things done with kids. And there's times where I'm like, oh, if I just had a nice office that was like mine and the quiet away, I would get so much more done. And then there's parts of me, whenever I go out to the grocery store and I see, and I told Jay just over the weekend, like every time the weekend comes around, I like say to myself how thankful I am that we have this time together. We find ourselves going on Sunday drives. We, just go out. We'll just, even if it's just to get a coffee, just to drive, to spend some time together with the kids in the back seat. Like that's like they'll fall asleep and then we'll get to have a conversation. Like that's kind of like where we're at right now. And it's like I could be working all day. That's what my life used to be. And it feels nightmarish to think about having to go back to whether it would be retail or fast food. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the job. And I absolutely appreciate the people who do that and are there. But it scares me because I feel like the gift of being able to work from home and make the income that I'm making could disappear at any moment. Like our technology changes and the world changes so quickly that I'm just, I want to continue to grow my skills. So I take on every opportunity because I'm scared. And I remember from school, like it's all about positioning. It's all about how you position yourself. So I'm over here taking everything. And that's why I was taking those, free opportunities where I'm like, yes, I'll work for free. I'll do this. I'll do that just to have the experience, anything, because I feel so intentional about making the most of the time that I have here in this house that we're not paying anything for because it's a gift. it's a gift to have this time, and I just really feel like I need to make the most of it. And then at the same time, I always feel like I need to outdo myself. And it's hard to remember that being just a mom is a full-time job. Taking care of a house is a full-time job. On top of the 10 companies that I'm trying to work for, not even including building myself up, because I feel like I would have a lot of value to offer just as a personal brand myself. So it's a lot, and not everyone has the opportunity to kind of spend 10 months at home with their kids taking their time figuring it out. And there was never any part of this experience where Jay's like, "Oh, you have to be making money, like, you gotta make the most of this time." Like, he's never asked me to do anything. Nothing. Like, actually nothing. He doesn't even like ask me to do the dishes. Like, there's times where it's like I'm in the chair morning to night, morning to night, morning to night. The dishes are piling up in the sink. I haven't touched the laundry, and we're a team. Like, we're whoever gets to it first gets to it. As long as the kids are taken care of, they're fed, the bills are paid. Like, we'll do what we've got to do. So, having the time to be here and network and really grow isn't something that everybody has the opportunity for, especially if they are passionate about wanting to leave corporate America. Because a lot of the time, if you are a single person or if it's just you and your partner, you both have to be able to make that money to get by. So it's like, how do you even have time to dream about what you could even accomplish without taking some kind of a pay cut that could potentially ruin everything for you if you're not in a place to be able to make that work? Like, it's a lot. So I feel very fortunate every single day that I do have my degree, even if I'm not doing anything with it 100%. I'm trying to make the most of this time, because I want to continue to grow this. But then, like I had told you this past weekend, you get to a point where it's like you make yourself so busy because you're so consumed with making the money to buy the house, to build the dream, to take care of your kids, to take care of the family, that you kind of forget that you're even a person with feelings, with likes, with dislikes, with interests. And it's like if you're not in the chair behind the computer in meetings all day, then you're wiping kids' butts and you're making dinner and you're cutting hot dogs into little pieces, and then you're washing all the dishes, and then you're cleaning out toys from the bathtub because they didn't pick up their toys, or you're stepping on toys that are down the stairs, and you're picking up the kids through their socks in every different room instead of putting them away. And then you start to feel like a maid, and then by the time you're done doing the dishes, you turn around and there's no dish towel to dry your hands off because someone didn't put the dish towel back on the stove, and it's like it drives you nuts. And then you just kind of break down and you're like, "Oh my God, I don't even feel like a person." And then you remember that you're about to have a baby in 2 months because you've been so busy you actually forgot. And I'm like, "Oh my God, we're having a kid in 2 months and I don't have anything ready because I've been so busy working." And then Raylan calls me out and says, "Oh, Mom, your Pink Lily order's here. Why do you buy all these dresses and put them away and buy more?" And then it's like, ah. So like it's enough to drive you crazy. It's a blessing to have this, lifestyle, but it's not completely perfect. I don't know if that was too much of a rant, but yeah, that's my perspective.
No, no, it's okay. Matter of fact, you made me think of another one. But like it's just so difficult. And like one of the first things you touched on is like I am so sick and tired of stigmas. I don't know what the plural is. Anyway, like the whole fact that society puts pressure on who you're supposed to be, it drives me freaking crazy. Like the fact that what other people believe like gets to determine what I like, who I am and what I get to do. Like not a fan. Not that I anyway I think it's completely unfair, and like I know you've told me like personal stories about this, that a mother who wants to find a job or pursue a passion outside of your home and raising your kids, that you get like mom shamed and judged for doing so. I personally just think that's stupid. I think everybody should have the freedom and availability to be able to pursue something they're passionate about. Yes, like I am 100% pro parenting. Like I don't like think that like anything comes before that. But what I'm saying is that like despite that fact, you should still be able to pursue something that you're interested in and passionate about. Or like like what makes you have any less right to pursue a dream than me? Like it doesn't matter. And I understand that like I'm not a
Right.
mom, but like it's not, like, I don't personally think that that's fair. And I mean, the way society pressures people, I mean, I see it every day, and like I said, not a fan. But directly proportional to that, like, why is there a stigma around men that want to be stay-at-home dads? Like, why is it that if a guy wants to stay at home and take care of his children rather than having a job, that he's looked at as worthless, or that he's looked at as lazy, or that he's looked at as a bum? Like, why is that a thing? I don't understand. Like, why is that a difference? Like, if I believe in my heart that my goal in life is to have the availability and freedom to be at home with my children, that it's, why is that looked down upon? I don't understand. Having a desire to pursue something, like whether that be a calling or whatever, I feel like does not make one member of a family more dominant or alpha over the other, like whether that's the man or the woman. I don't feel that it should be looked at that way, but it frustrates me that there are so many people out there that never even chase a dream because of
Yeah.
these like beliefs and this pressure that society puts on them. And like, I mean, and this kind of touches on like the last things we just talked about, but like it just frustrates me that so many people will like skip out on things that matter to them just simply because of something that someone else says or believes, that
Yeah.
somebody else that they may never even meet. Like, it just, it makes me so uncomfortable, like, because I just don't feel like that should be possible. You know what I mean? And like, it happens to me too. Like, I'm not saying that I haven't been there. Like, I have been there, and that's why it's so frustrating. Like, I don't understand the whole concept of it. Like, and obviously, like, both of us are working our way out of it. That's one of the cool things that I like about our conversations, where we can like talk about us going through these things in real time. But like, it's just so frustrating because I see it happening to so many other people. And like I said, it's very, very frustrating. I mean, like I like literally day to day see so many people like here at school that like we talked about earlier, that are looking for permission to like leave that group. And like, I
Yeah.
know way too many people like that spend all their time with people they don't even like, or with people that don't like them, or with people that they don't even feel safe around because they're clinging to something that isn't even there. And
The
like,
familiarity.
yeah, I mean, and trust me, like I said, like I know the feeling. Like those of you that have heard me talk about like my ground zero moments and stuff, like, like that, I was there. Like, I've been in your situation, but that's some of why it's so frustrating, because like I know what it took for me to get out of that. Like, I know what you're going through, but I also know like what has happened since I was able to step away from that. But like I said, like, if anyone feels like that way, like literally listen to me when I say this. Like, you are allowed to leave. Like, you have my permission to walk away. You just walk away from all those people. And like, I'm not saying that every person in your life should serve you in some way or another. Like, I'm not saying that you have to go strictly transactional, but walk away from people that carry habits you don't want to embody. Walk away from, habits that you have that you don't want to embody. And I know it's not just that simple, but like, make the conscious decision to step away from those things. Leave it all behind. I know it hurts. I know it's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. And like, I promise that, you know, sometimes like your feelings need to get hurt before you can finally wake up and have the courage to focus on you. I mean, and that's exactly what happened to me. Like, I finally had to get hurt enough that I could step away from that thing and truly start anew. And like, I think you can also relate to that. And,
Yeah.
and if it does hurt, that just means that your feelings were genuine. And in that exact scenario, if those people don't even react when you leave, then that's all the indication that you need, that you shouldn't have been there anyway. And
Yeah.
sometimes we have to get rid of good things once they become toxic to our well-being. And it sucks. It does. But like I said, I just know so many people that are afraid to just go out on their own, and they're just so desperate to feel like a part of something. And like, not that that's wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like I think it's a basic human need to, want to feel valued and feel a part of something. But like, you have to recognize that if you're somewhere you don't belong, the toll that it's taking on you, and you have no idea the effect that it could have on other people as well. Like we talked about earlier. Like, if you step away from that, you don't realize the level of people that may or may not be paying attention to you that you can inspire to do the same. And that's what we're literally trying to do here right now. Like, we're talking about the situations that we've come from. We're talking about the different relationships that we've had to let go of, the different things that we've gone through to get to where we are. And yeah, it's been hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been freaking hard. But like in it, and I'll be honest with you, like, it doesn't make you miss those people. Like, it doesn't make you not miss those people. Like that stuff doesn't just go away. But like, is it a necessary sacrifice for where you want to be or the life that you want to build for your family? And you really have to take that into account. And it is difficult, but like I said, is it ultimately necessary if you could reach that goal, that vision, whatever it is, like if you could actually get to where you want to go?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, sorry, I did not mean to turn this into another tangent, but it's just frustrating. I just don't understand. I mean, like I said, like it just takes one person. It takes one person to give themselves and give those around them permission. And sometimes it takes you being that person. I mean, and I'm trying to be that person. Like, I have been that person. I'm trying to get other people to do the same because it's just not worth it for you emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever. It's not worth it. And like, it just takes you standing up for yourself and saying that, I'm staying here, that I'm standing strong, that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not that I am going to get through this, and that anything else that comes my way, because eh, eh, and I'm going to get sorry, that I'm going to get through this and anything else that comes my way, because I am prepared to do whatever it takes to build this life for myself and for my family. And that's what it's been for me. And that's part of the reason that I like to share these things, because like I said, like I know so many people personally that are going through these things, and they just won't, like, they refuse to step away from where they are right now. But I'm like, but you won't see the other side, and you can't in the moment. You can't. But that's what I'm saying.
No.
Take my advice. Like,
And
take the advice, you know.
I think it's something that people just don't really get to until they've been pushed so many times and they're just like, okay, finally, this is not serving me anymore. And then you start to have that clarity and it becomes really uncomfortable and it like hurts for days when you realize the dynamic of the friendship or relationship and how it actually hasn't served you for a really long time because you're just like, I care about this person. I love them so much, whether they're a friend or family or whatever. And then, you'll start to realize things even like, a year later, like, wow, why, like, in a situation, I can't believe that I was showing up this much and they just won't for me. And a girlfriend of mine actually have talked about this quite a bit. And it's like I was already getting to the point where I was shying away from this person. And I knew that I needed that space because it was just too much. I couldn't handle all of their issues and mine, especially when I wasn't being heard or seen in return. And I called her the other day and I was like, man, it's just really hitting me that it didn't matter how abundant the attention was that you were giving our friend or how little the attention was that I was giving our friend. You and I both ended up with the same results. Nothing. Her and I are actually both pregnant. We're 4 weeks apart. And our girlfriend of ours, like, nothing. Nothing since last, like, absolutely nothing. And it was more of a, we show up and we give and don't really ever ask for anything in return. And it's just literally been like radio silence. And it's like, it's devastating, when you care about someone so much because you want to put that effort in and you don't expect anything in return. But then, you go through something that you really want them to be a part of. And that radio silence, it's just like, it's deafening because it's like, it's so in your face that like this is the reality of it and like it's hard to swallow. It's very hard to swallow even if it wasn't a business thing, even if it was just people in your life and in your circle that have to be cut out, whether that's just naturally because it's their choice, even if it wasn't yours, even if you were still willing to kind of like keep a nice face indoor because you cared about that person for so long. And then you don't realize actually how free you feel when you're like, I don't have to put all this energy into someone who's not putting that energy back in. And it's like, it feels like liberating. And at the same time, it's just like, it's sad.
Like, you can't see it in the moment. And like I said, like it doesn't make any of it hurt any less. But like eventually you do just realize that like that relationship wasn't serving me whatsoever. And neither was that person. And I did waste a lot of time and energy there. Like, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have, but we learn from it. And that's where like my circle has become extremely, extremely small. And it's made it very difficult for me to find more people, but it's because I hold myself to that standard now where like I know who is or who isn't, you know what I mean, like paying their dues, if you will. Like I can't think of
No, it's you
I know
setting your
that's not the
boundary.
best, like,
It's setting
yes,
boundaries.
like, yeah. And I mean, effort has really become like one of the most attractive things to me. Like if you are willing to put in what I'm putting in, then we will be golden. Like,
Mhm.
but effort is like the main indicator there. Like you have to show me that. And like me, like I don't chase anymore. Like obviously like I'm like my girlfriend and I are perfectly fine. Like I don't mean her, but like outside of that, I mean, where like, I don't like bend over backwards for people anymore. Like, yeah, if I want to do something nice for you, like I will. Like, it's not like that. Like, but at the same time, like I need you to show me some sort of indication that like the work that I'm going to put in is going to be reciprocated, or you're not going to get it. Like, and that's just how it is now. Like, and like I don't. And I do want to touch on real quick, like that earlier. I wasn't trying to make it sound like college is all bad. Like that's not what I meant. I also wouldn't change a thing. Like I'm extremely glad that I came here. None of these things would have been possible if I hadn't come here. I just mean that there are some flaws in naturally, but for certain professions, it's a little more of an option than it is a need. So that's all I was really trying to get at with that. But we've been on here a little while. I don't know. I think we've hit most of the points that we had here. I know. I don't want you to think I was ever ignoring you at all. I've literally been taking notes on my computer as you
No.
as you talk about your stuff. But like one of the things we talk about a lot is just that ground zeros are a constant thing,
Yeah.
and it's true. I mean, every just about every time something good happens, something bad happens. I mean, and it's all kind of how you interpret it, how you roll with the punch, how you think about. And that's where like we talk about coming from our things, hoping that any of you guys will take from them and what's the word, and utilize what we learned the hard way to into your daily lives. But yeah, do you have anything you want to add before we kind of go ahead and wrap up?
Yeah, I was actually writing this down because I wasn't sure, how far you were gonna go with that, but something that sparked in me was that my band teacher in high school, he always said, "It's 1% what happens to you and 99% how you deal with it." And that's, like, exactly how I feel about what you just said. So, it is. It's just that little bit of, like, what's there, and the majority is how you delegate, how you show up, how you manage yourself, how you handle yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've talked about that in some recent episodes here as well. So yeah, I encourage you guys to go back and check those out. But yeah, I think we've been on here long enough. We've occupied a whole lot of your time today, but I hope you got some value out of it. I know it's been the right word. I know we dug into a bunch of stuff today. It got pretty emotional in some spots, but at the same time, like we're just being real. And I think that is one of the most important things about the message that we're trying to share and the message that we're trying to continue to carry. So yeah, embrace it all. I feel like that is just one of the things that I can say from everything that we've talked about today. Every little thing that happens, just embrace it. Accept it for what it is, and then continue moving forward. And we even talked about that just before hitting record today. Just accept it, especially if it's already happened, and just continue to push forward. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, like, it's just like you said, like, taking everything one day at a time, it's really all you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so digging up some new ground zero stuff here today. Like I said, I hope that you guys got some value out of it. It was pretty exciting. I'm glad April and I got to we're able to get back together to do this. I really do like doing these. Just yeah. good time. And, I feel like there's a lot of value in the things that we're going through actively right now as well. And, obviously more to come because, life has a way. So I'm sure we'll be back on, I don't want to say fairly soon, but sometime soon with another one of these. Yeah. So like I said, definitely let us know if there's anything we can do to make these better. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you. With that, everybody, this is Ground Zero, and there's nowhere to go from here. But guys.